Part 92. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 938. In the blink of an eye, the Bai family in City B collapsed. The Bai group was completely shut down for review, and the responsible persons and shareholders suspected of violating the law were arrested. Bai Yuan had suffered a stroke and was paralyzed on his bed. When he heard the news, he was heartbroken. After seeing the policeman falling from the sky, he was so excited that he completely fainted. The police rushed him to the hospital, but the hospital failed to rescue him and he was declared dead the next day. Bai Yuan died. Bai Yan was in a vegetative state in Germany. Bai Shuo was put on trial for criminal detention, his father's death, the decline of the Bai family, and he was in jail again. This series of changes greatly stimulated him, and he was almost mentally exhausted for a time. Collapse. 8 or 9 days had passed when Xiao Yan and Su Jingqiao learned the news. Because she was worried about Bai Shuo, and when she couldn't contact Bai Shuo, Xiao Yan kept looking for Huo Baixiao. However, after Huo Baixiao told her the news that night, he seemed to have disappeared and was never found again. There was no trace of him in the company, Huo's home, or his apartment. His cell phone was turned off, his email was unanswered, and no one knew where he had gone. Later, news of a major change in the Bai group came out. Su Jingqiao asked someone to make secret inquiries and learn the true situation of the Bai family case. Xiao Yan felt sorry for Bai Shuo and kept crying, almost blinding her eyes from crying. Su Jingqiao took her to Qiao's house to prevent her from staying at home alone with her thoughts and depression. Uncle, second uncle, in your opinion, what are the chances of Bai Shuo being sentenced? Su Jingqiao spoke in a low voice, his eyebrows were furrowed into a frown, and his dark eyes were full of worry. Xiao Yan was sitting next to him, looking dumbfounded, with red eyes. Qiao Zhenbang's face was serious. Ah Qiao, you have to understand that the Bai family is involved in a major case this time, not an ordinary case. The situation here is very complicated, including smuggling, money laundering, huge bribes, hidden possession of prohibited firearms, etc. Although some of them happened many years ago, if they are found out now, every case will not escape the sanction of the law. And it is difficult for your friend Bai Shuo to say that after Bai Yuan is dead, some things will not be clear. There is no proof, but the evidence of Bai Shuo's account and money laundering business he once handled is conclusive, so the possibility of being sentenced is almost 100%. Sentence, how many years? Xiao Yan's lips trembled, her eyes stared at Qiao Zhenbang, and her heart almost jumped out of her chest. Qiao Zhenbang said slowly, criminal liability for money laundering crimes, according to Article 191 of the Criminal Law, is generally punishable by fixed-term imprisonment of not more than 5 years or criminal detention. If the circumstances are serious, the person shall be sentenced to fixed-term imprisonment of not less than 5 years but not more than 10 years. Hearing this, Xiao Yan's eyes darkened, as if there was insufficient blood supply to the brain, and she felt dizzy. She murmured in disbelief, 5 years, 10 years, how is it possible? Bai Shuo can't go to jail. Su Jingqiao quickly hugged Xiao Yan and comforted her quickly, Bao. Don't worry, the case is still under review, and it may be very minor. After all, Bai Shuo did not knowingly commit the crime, but was kept in the dark. Qiao Zhenxing shook his head and did not dare to irritate Xiao Yan. In fact, they all knew in their hearts that the Bai family started out as a gangster. Bai Shuo had been in the dye vat for many years. It was probably very difficult for him to clear his name. It was hard to say whether he knowingly committed the crime or not. It is also possible to do it knowingly but as a last resort. Xiao Yan was in bad condition, so Su Jingqiao placed her in the bedroom to rest. When he came out, his 2 uncles were still waiting for him. Su Jingqiao sat back, his brows full of sadness. Uncle, second uncle, I want to hire a defense lawyer for Baishuo and help him to the best of my ability. That's all we can do now. This case is not light. No one dares to touch this muddy water, and no one can touch it. We can only do our best to obey fate, and hope that the sentence will be reduced by a few years. Qiao Zhenxing nodded, and said on the one hand, he was telling the truth, but on the other hand, he was reminding Su Jingqiao of the importance. Su Jingqiao smiled bitterly, I understand, thank you, uncle and uncle, I know how to do it. Back at Oasis Villa, Xiao Yan was still asleep when the car stopped. Su Jingqiao gently carried her out of the car, his eyes filled with heartache, but there was nothing he could do for Baishuo. Living in this legal society, whoever breaks the law can only bear the consequences himself, and no one else can do anything to help him. Xiao Yan woke up as soon as she got wet. She looked around with her empty eyes and said softly, Are you home? Yes. Whatever you want to eat, ask Sister Li to cook it for you tonight, or order a hotel meal for you. Su Jingqiao leaned over and rested his elbow on her side, his eyes extremely soft. Xiao Yan shook his head, I don't want to eat anything. Bao if you don't take care of your body like this, Baishuo will feel bad and blame you when he finds out. He was implicated by his father. He was born in an environment like the Bai family, and to reach this point today, it can be said that there's nothing wrong with it, it will happen one day, it's just a matter of time. Su Jingqiao frowned, and slowly caressed her thin face with his big palm, with irrepressible emotions in his tone, Bao I'm as heartbroken as you are about Baishuo possibly going to jail. He is not only your Blue Yanzi, he is also my friend and my benefactor, but the law is unforgiving. We have no other option except hiring the best team of lawyers to defend him. But I believe he will survive. There is no such thing as life. The hurdle he cannot overcome is just a hardship for him. After experiencing this, he will grow into a brand new Baishuo and have a brilliant life. The Bai family has collapsed, but he still has friends like us. He doesn't have nothing. Yes, hubby, Baishuo once gave me the house, storefront, fund, and the rent I saved for him. You should keep these for me. When Baishuo comes out, I will return them all to him with his money mind, he will make a comeback. Xiao Yan suddenly thought of something and said excitedly. Su Jingqiao nodded, yes, Bao is really smart, so Baishuo's future is not all dark, there will be light. But his father passed away, and his brother is in a vegetative state, so his family is ruined. Xiao Yan bit his lower lip and suddenly became sad again. Su Jingqiao didn't know how to comfort her. She didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse to have a father like Bai Yuan, but she couldn't choose her origin, just like he had a father like that. After a moment of silence, he could only divert her attention, Bao how about I cook for you today? Can you do it? Just don't set the kitchen on fire. Xiao Yan sobbed and looked down on him rudely. Su Jingqiao's face darkened, do you look down on me so much? Husband, your strength is not cooking, so don't mess around. I don't look down on you because I only look at your strengths and not your shortcomings, Xiao Yan said truthfully. Okay, then I won't expose my shortcomings. Su Jingqiao was speechless. He lowered his head, rubbed her lips against hers, and whispered in a serious and thoughtful voice, Bao what you can do, just take good care of yourself, take good care of Belle, and be happy every day. This is the best way to treat Baishuo, you know? Otherwise, he will have to worry about you, making his psychological burden even heavier, don't you think? Xiao Yan lowered his eyelids and was silent for a long time before saying, Husband, I understand what you mean, and I will try to relax. However, I want to see Baishuo, is that okay? Su Jingqiao sighed, you can't see him now. Visitors are not allowed until the verdict is announced. Even the lawyer has to go through the procedures to see him. How long will it take to pronounce the verdict? Xiao Yan was anxious, and his eye circles turned red again in an instant. Su Jinqiao said, the public prosecutor and the law must proceed step by step. It will take at least 4 months, and it may take about a year for complex cases and special cases. Xiao Yan was completely stunned and closed his eyes weakly. Don't let Beer know. Su Jinqiao lay down side by side with her and held her in his arms. I understand, but you should not show bad emotions in front of your children, and you really have to relax. Bai Shuo will not be punished by death, as long as the person is alive. Better than anything else, we always have a chance to meet again, right? Well, I understand. Give me some time and I'll think about it slowly. Be good, when you are sad, think more about happy things. During this period, if you want to make an announcement, let Kong Dongcheng make arrangements for you. If you don't want to, just rest at home. The two of them hugged each other and fell asleep. When they woke up, it was almost dark. Sister Li also knew that Xiao Yan was in a bad mood these days, so she specially made some seafood for her to eat, and also made crystal shrimp dumplings. Xiao Yan was coaxed and coaxed downstairs by Su Jinqiao. She looked lazy and couldn't cheer up. Belle was picked up by the driver. After seeing her mother playing around for a while, Xiao Yan was finally amused. There was a smile on his face. The food was served, and as soon as Xiao Yan sat down, she suddenly felt sick in her stomach and felt nauseated. She covered her lips, shook her head and said, I don't want to eat, I have no appetite. What's wrong? How can I not eat? Why don't you drink some borscht first? Su Jinqiao frowned and advised her with concern while serving the soup. Xiao Yan swallowed hard, suppressed the nausea, and nodded reluctantly, okay. A small bowl of borscht tasted good and was drinkable, but the smell of fried river shrimp and other greasy dishes on the table made Xiao Yan uncomfortable, but she endured it and said nothing else, lest Jinqiao worried again. During dinner, Xiao Yan didn't eat much. After the meal, he ran directly upstairs, lay on the sink and retched for a while, and drank some water before he felt better. Not in the mood to make an announcement, Xiao Yan just stayed at home. Due to emotional reasons, her appetite had not been very good. Su Jinqiao spent the weekend with her and had to go to the company to handle official business on Monday. Feeling uneasy, she called Ni Rui, please come and accompany Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan, who had not been shopping for a long time, suddenly thought, Xiao Rui, let's go shopping at a Beio shopping mall. I heard that when a woman is in a bad mood, she can adjust her mood through crazy shopping. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 939. Second update. Are you awake? Zhang Gaikan stretched her head in front of Li Xinlai and gently stroked her forehead. Do you have a headache? Are you dizzy? Yes. Is there anything else you feel uncomfortable about? Zhang Fengying also looked over, her eyes full of concern. Get up slowly, get up and give it a try. Wu Qing was more lively. As he spoke, he reached out to caress her. Zhao Xiaohong, who was next to him, quickly extended his hand. The enthusiasm of several roommates made Li Xinlai a little confused. She was sure that she was not dreaming, but she could not remember how yesterday's incident ended. How did I come back yesterday? She looked at the eldest Zhang Gaikan expectantly, hoping that the other party would tell her the truth. What are you talking about? Zhang Gaikan sighed and hugged her shoulders. You scared us to death yesterday. If your friend hadn't caught you from behind, you would have fallen to the ground. I usually think you have a good personality, but I didn't expect you to be impatient, but... She sighed, I can't bear this matter to anyone. Forget it, let's not talk about it. Is there any discomfort? No. Li Xinlai shook her head. After you fainted yesterday, Lin Chuxia invited Professor Yuan over. Professor Yuan said that you had fainted due to a sudden attack of anger, so he asked everyone to carry you in and put you on the bed, and gave you a few injections. He also said that you can wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. He said that as long as you don't have a headache or feel dizzy when you wake up, it will be fine. We were so scared that we didn't dare to sleep all night. Originally, Lin Chuxia wanted to take you home, but Professor Yuan said it was best not to touch you, so she entrusted you to us. Those people from 206 also stayed here until after 2 o'clock last night. Later, we tricked them into going to bed before driving them away. Xinlai, I am telling you this just to let you know that although your mother is not very good to you, you have classmates and friends who are very good to you. If I hadn't heard it from you personally, I wouldn't have believed that they had only known you for a few days and that their concern for you was absolutely sincere. Of course, our concern for you is absolutely sincere. I don't care about others. Anyway, I will definitely treat you as my sister. Zhang Fenying protested, Sister Gaikan, that's wrong. You know that I will definitely treat Xinlai as my sister. And I. Me too. Wu Qing and Zhao Xiaohong also rushed to express their opinions. There are a total of 8 people living in the dormitory. Except for Zhao Fang, Li Kewen, and Yu Venfang who arrived last, the other 4 have always had a good relationship with her. However, they are still so close as today. First, this made Li Xinlai's heart, which was hit by her mother's actions, gradually warm up, and her complexion naturally became much better. Dong dong. It must be a few from 206, Wu Qing said as he ran to open the door and smiled at Lin Mengran, Yang Zili, and Wu Jingbo who were standing at the door. I guess it's you. Just in time, Xinlai woke up. Several people hurried to the bedside and exchanged greetings and comforts. Looking at the watch on her wrist, it was almost 6:30. Lin Mengran stretched out her hand to pull Li Xinlai. Xinlai, try to get out of bed and move around. No need to try, I'm fine, my mind is clear now. Li Xinlai shook her head as she said, I feel like I can go out and run 10,000 meters now. Don't worry, with such good friends like you, I will never be mad at her again. As she said that, she smiled sheepishly. Actually, yesterday I was worried that everyone would look down on me after listening to her words. I was also worried that some of you would think it was a shame to be friends with me. Anyway, it was all kinds of worrying emotions. The crowding together, coupled with the overwhelming anger, led to such consequences. You are so sentimental. Lin Mengran rolled her eyes at her. I mean, if you can move, come with me quickly. Do you really have to wait for Chu Xia to bring you breakfast? Ah, Li Xinlai was stunned and quickly put on her shoes. Why didn't you remind me earlier? I just woke up and my brain is not flexible enough. Lin Mengran looked at someone who was making excuses with a dark look. Didn't you say your mind was clear? He. Li Xinlai smiled sheepishly. Okay, stop teasing her. Yang Zili pushed Lin Mengran away, smiled at Zhang Gaikan and others, thanked her, and pulled Li Xinlai out. After a few people left, Yu Venfang, who was on the upper bunk of Li Xinlai, sat up and said with a depressed look on her face, I think she just adjusted it to 206. What's going on? You guys don't think my words are harsh? Even if you care about her and treat her well, what can you do? As soon as those 206 people come over, she will immediately put you aside. If she really misses you, why didn't she think of bringing some to you when she went out to eat and drink? In other words, why didn't I think of bringing you with me? This night, nagging, if this continues, if she doesn't adjust the dormitory, I will. As he said that, he lay down and kicked the quilt hard. As a result, he accidentally kicked the ladder stick that came up, and he immediately curled up into a ball in pain. Zhang Gaikan and the others looked at each other quietly, then each took the wash basin and walked out quietly. Zhao Fang, Li Kewen, and Yu Venfang are from the city, but they live in the school because it is quite far from home. They have always looked down on them from other places and have a very arrogant attitude. They have long adapted to it. Living in the same dormitory, if there was a quarrel, everyone would feel uncomfortable. Therefore, as long as the three of them did not go too far, John Gaikin and the others never said a word. If something like this happens today, they won't even say anything. Anyone who has some sympathy should not accuse others like this. Everyone encounters difficulties sometimes. If they encounter what happened yesterday, others will not only not comfort or understand, but also stay away from each other, or simply how do they feel when they add insult to injury. After the pain in her feet subsided, Yu Venfang climbed up and realized that those people were gone. She had no place to express her resentment. She simply got out of bed, grabbed the tea jar on the table, and put the tea jar in it. The water was poured on Li Xinlai's bed. In an instant, she felt much better. Zhao Fang and Li Kewen got up vaguely when they heard the movement. When they saw Yu Venfang's movements, their eyes widened. This was winter. You're not even allowed to tell. Yu Venfang ran to the door, looked around, closed the dormitory door and stepped back. Don't say I did it, let her guess. Do you want us to help you take the blame? Zhao Fang looked at her lightly. Do you think Li Xinlai would guess that Zhang Gaikin and the others did it? Then what's impossible? You know people but don't know their hearts. Yu Venfang waved her hands indifferently and climbed onto her bed. If you keep squinting for another 20 minutes, I don't believe you feel comfortable after all the hard work this night. As a girl, not being able to sleep well is a big deal. Almost at the same time, Li Kewen lay down with her. Zhao Fang was stunned for a while and continued to look for Duke Zhou. However, Li Xinlai and her party had just walked halfway when they met Chu Xia and Zhao Yulan, who came to deliver breakfast. They looked good. It seems that everything is fine. After looking at Li Xinlai for a few times, the worry on Chu Xia's face disappeared. Zhao Yulan also breathed a sigh of relief. Neither of them slept well that night. After all, what happened last night was too mysterious. Lin Mengran scratched his head in annoyance. I was worried that you would come early to deliver food, so I pulled Xinlai out of bed. Unexpectedly, it was still a step too late. Originally I wanted to get up and do some activities in the morning. Chu Xia smiled and pushed her. Don't pretend to be virtuous in front of me. I don't do that. Let's go. Since you're all out, come home with me for breakfast. Is it possible? Lin Mengran looked at her with some worry. This is 3 people added at once, and they are 3 people with huge appetites. Then you don't need to go. Chu Xia waved her hand and looked at Li Xinlai. I have already checked for you about your mother's trouble. Go to my house and tell you. Look, no matter what happens, you're not going to be worse than me, right? Lin Mengran hugged Zhao Yulan's arm flatteringly, "Aunt." Then he realized and quickly took the thermos bucket from her hand. "Aunt, I'll get it." "Okay, take it." Zhao Yulan was not polite to her, and handed the bucket to her. Someone raised his eyebrows at Chu Xia proudly, and walked forward faster, as if he was afraid that Chu Xia would take it. She stopped. After entering the house, Li Xinlai looked at Chu Xia eagerly. She really wanted to know the root cause of her mother's mischief. No matter how bad she was or if she didn't kiss her, she was still her mother. So, deep down, she was still her mother. I want to find a reason to forgive the other person. Chu Xia laughed. I see you are like this. If I don't tell you, won't you be able to eat? No, Li Xinlai smiled sheepishly. Chu Xia, you should eat first. It doesn't matter if we are hungry, but you can't. The baby will be angry. Don't worry, I'm not hungry. I drank a bowl of soup when I got up in the morning. The buns haven't been steamed yet, so I'll tell you about your mother first. After sighing, Chu Xia continued, when I came back last night, I called Sister Jingzi. As a result, Sister Jingzi didn't know what happened to your mother, so I had to ask Zhou Mikang to help, and he sent someone to follow your mother and your sister, and then learn the truth from their conversation. After your mother and your father divorced, she wanted to be with Chu Xianming, the factory director she was obsessed with. As a result, the other party not only failed to marry her as originally agreed, but also avoided seeing her. Later, she couldn't bear it anymore and went to the factory to make trouble. As a result, Chu Xianming asked the security department to throw her out and called her a crazy woman. Because of this, she also lost her job. Chu Xia spread his hands and said, "Even if you have a house to live in, you can't live without a job and money, right? She went to find your dad, hoping that your dad could be with her again. Since your dad and her are divorced, stop getting entangled. Your dad also said that all his hope is for you and he doesn't want to go back to that home. It's dragging you down. It's this sentence that makes your mother unbearable. In her opinion, the only thing your father values most is her, even if you are her daughter, so he drags your sister to school to cause trouble for you. Her purpose is very simple. You have to agree to her, and then you have to be filial to her. Your father wants to marry her back home, and she will continue to be her queen at home. Rs. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 940. One update arrived. Even if I lost a little weight, it's not as exaggerated as you said. Ms. Zhao looked at her daughter distressedly. On the other hand, you are more than 10 pounds thinner than you were during the Chinese New Year, right? She sighed again. What? Everything is on your shoulders, how can you not lose weight? Mom, I'm not as exaggerated as you said. I've lost 3 to 5 kilograms at most. Zhao Yulan looked at the old lady angrily. I'd be very annoyed if Mom said that again. Even though I'm already married, but I am still the daughter of the Zhao family. If something like this happens to my father, can I not bear it together? I understand what you mean, Mother. You feel that you owe the Zhou family too much, and you feel dissatisfied. You are also worried that I am confused about these things, right? Ms. Zhao nodded. Yes, we owe a lot to others. If you say this in front of Aunt Zhou again, she will be really angry. She specifically talked to me about this last time. If Chu Xia becomes the granddaughter-in-law of the Zhou family, then our Zhao family's affairs are the Zhou family's affairs. If I continue to be so polite, it means I don't regard them as my in-laws. They are sincerely helping us and treating us as family, so we should stop thinking about it. It would be uncomfortable if we keep discussing it like this. Yes, seeing that her daughter was speaking sincerely and not trying to force herself to lie, Ms. Zhao responded, Mom, I listen to you and stay here well. Your father is just a tough talker, asking whether I'm here or not it's okay. In fact, the sky is waiting for me. My wife, the older I get, the better I know. When I was young, I was bullied. I don't feel sorry for anyone, but I've passed 60. It's like he's become a different person. Yulan, Mom is not afraid of your jokes. At this moment, no matter whether your father is gone or your mother is gone, the remaining one will not be able to stay long. Once you get used to it, life will be dull without that person. I know, Mom and Dad have a good relationship, we can all see it. Zhao Yulan smiled. Dad never wants to eat good things for himself. He brings them back to Mom to eat. Many old ladies in the village are envious of Mom's good luck. Woolen cloth. They didn't envy Mom when they were young. At that time, you four were too poor to take the blame. Your father was nice, but... The old lady smiled to herself for a while and then said, your father is also lucky. Because of his literacy, he caught the attention of the chief and worked as an accountant in the village. Otherwise, our family would not have a future. Remember when I first married your father? Your grandma and grandpa are both very reluctant, saying that your dad has a good appearance and is really not good at work. If they weren't afraid that I wouldn't be able to get married, they really wouldn't want to agree. But I was optimistic that your father could read. This man can read and understand the truth. As long as this person understands the truth and is not confused, he is not afraid even if he has a bad temper. After all these years, Mom really feels that she was right. When your father was young, no matter how bad his temper was, he never laid a finger on Mom. Do you think any of the old ladies in the village have not been beaten by men? Alas, this person is willing to talk about these things when he is old. Okay, just lie down and sleep. Mom won't talk about you anymore. You are really exhausted these days. I'm fine. Zhao Yulan sighed slightly and said, Mom, I am quite contented anyway. Although our family was not rich when we were young, you and your father did not favor boys over girls. Therefore, we are better than girls from other families. It was going well. Marry later. Although Baohi is poor, his father-in-law and mother-in-law are not good at all, and his eldest brother-in-law and brother-in-law are not worried, but Baohi is very good to us and my mother, and he only does everything for us and my mother, so, I didn't feel too miserable during those years. I was originally worried about Xia. With her little temper, no matter who she married, her father and I would have to worry about it. But no matter what, this child is as sensible as he says he is sensible. Moreover, I met such a good marriage, so after thinking about it, I felt that as long as this person has a good heart and doesn't do bad things, good luck will always come. Mom, when Dad is discharged from the hospital, he will take his family to live with him. It will be convenient for us to go to the hospital for rehabilitation. When Dad is really feeling better, we will consider going back. Don't worry about the Zhou family's affairs anymore. As I said, we have good intentions and all the people we meet are good people. As long as we are sincere, they will be happier than anything else. Sure, old Mrs. Zhao agreed happily. Mother listens to you. Just now, Mother said, whatever you say will be done. If Mother doesn't agree with you, she will force you to come here. Life in this life, as long as you work hard in one place, it will always get better. If you keep struggling, something may happen one day. Look at your second brother, isn't that the case? In the past, they had a hard time with each other, and their lives were always unhappy. Your second sister-in-law regarded Qi Yan as a treasure, but as a result, she almost killed Qi Yan. But now they don't have a hard time with each other, and life is going smoothly. Of course, the most important thing is to have your help, otherwise, that child Qian can really make people sad. Now it's better, your second sister-in-law is not lazy anymore, go to work when it's time to go to work, for me and you Dad is fine too. It's not like before, when you meet people, you always boast about Qi Yan. Now when people say she is blessed, she also knows how to be humble. Seeing that each of you is getting better, your father and I are so happy. Even if we all close our eyes now, we have nothing to worry about. Of course, if it is better to be alive, we still want to see our great-grandchildren, especially a pair. Why do you think our Xia family is so impressive? There were two of them at once. When I thought about this at home, I laughed out loud with joy. Seeing how delicate that girl is, she is really up to date. Zhao Yulan interrupted the old lady with a smile, Mom, don't let Chu Xia listen to what you said. She is thin-skinned. If she hears what you say, she will be too embarrassed to see others. Mom is not stupid, how can I say this in front of my children? Isn't this just because I can't sleep and am chatting with you? The couple chatted until dawn, not even feeling sleepy at all, so they both simply got up. Zhao Yulan went to the kitchen to help Aunt Yin and Aunt Qin with their work, while old Mrs. Zhao went to the door for a stroll. It wasn't that she didn't want to help, it was because a few people didn't let her into the kitchen at all. They were just preparing breakfast. It was enough for the three of them to work, so she didn't insist anymore. When Chu Xia went downstairs, the old lady walked in from outside and said, "Grandma, why are you up so early?" Mrs. Zhou answered with a smile, "Your grandma hasn't slept all night. Look at those eyes, they look like rabbit eyes." Yes, it's understandable that grandma is anxious to see grandpa and can't sleep. Chu Xia stepped forward and held the old lady's arm. "Grandma, we will see grandpa in a while, we are not in a hurry, huh?" "I'm not in a hurry, I just moved to a new place and couldn't sleep on the bed at such an old age, in front of so many outsiders." How could the old lady really admit that she was thinking about her wife and couldn't sleep, so she blamed the blame on her? "Get on the bed." Lin Yangkai quickly answered, "My mother-in-law and I discussed it and said that the 2 rooms in the side room should be equipped with a heated kong. I will arrange for Zhongliang to do this in a while. It is estimated that in half a month, you will be able to sleep on the heated kong." "Don't stop." Mrs. Zhao quickly waved her hand. "Forget it, I just put on this old skin. To tell the truth, I can't sleep last night, I really think of the old man, not to recognize the bed." "Grandma." Chu Xia laughed, "You worry about grandpa and no one will laugh at you, how can you say that? You are so shameless. And, what Xia said is that your relationship with your uncle is so good. We can only be happy, so how can we laugh at you? As for the bed, we took the doctor's advice into consideration. It would be better for my uncle to sleep on a heated kong when his health recovers. It just so happens that he can sit cross-legged on the kong twice. When he is in confinement in early summer, it will also be better to sleep on the kong. Isn't this just killing 2 birds with 1 stone? Also, my mother-in-law also misses the days of sleeping on the kong, so she decided to install a kong in this house. Who wants to change the feeling? Just go and sleep for a few days, you must not think too much, we are here for your own sake." I originally wanted to say a few words of thanks, but thinking of her daughter's comfort last night, Mrs. Zhao said, "All of us are blessed to have such a good family like you." "Hey, forget it, let's not say such nonsense. Okay, let's do it well from now on, and we won't speak the same language as one family." "Sister-in-law, I like to hear what you say." Old Mrs. Zhou smiled brightly after hearing this, "but you have to keep your word. It just so happens that I also want to live here for a longer time, but I am worried that there will be no one talk. Now it's better you're here and I have company. Yang Kaiu and Tao have gone back, so I'll stay here. When we have nothing to do, we can go for a walk around the campus to see our little girl, our little boy, and our Xia by the way. Do you think that's okay?" "Okay, okay." Mrs. Zhao nodded repeatedly, "We will do whatever you say." Chu Xia heard a black line, and the 2 old ladies were a united front. From now on, her life in school will really be monitored by the 2 old ladies at all times. However, this is also what she wants to see most. Grandma is at ease and the old lady is happy. Life is about everyone living comfortably, otherwise, there will always be regrets. After breakfast, Chu Xia went to school. Wang Zhongliang was responsible for sending Zhao Yulan and Mrs. Zhao to the hospital. Mrs. Zhou and Lin Yangkai did not join in the fun. There was a pregnant woman at home. Near noon, Josei came. The moment she saw her husband, Yu Tao's joy clearly overflowed from her eyes. After saying hello to her grandma and mother, Josei hugged his wife and went back to the room. "If you have something to say outside, it's so embarrassing for you to push me in." Yu Tao said with a blushing face, "This will make me so embarrassed in front of grandma and mom." "Where are you thinking?" Josei looked at her with a smile, "Did you think of all these messy things when you saw me?" To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 941. One update arrived. Unexpectedly, this seemingly cold teacher Lan had such a background. After Chu Xia and Lin Mengran listened to Yang Xiaoli's story, they looked at Lan Summing with obvious surprise. With such a family background, why did he want to be a teacher? This is not to say that being a teacher is not good, but since a family like the Lan family does not plan to get involved in politics, it must develop and expand the family business. The training direction of the younger generation should naturally focus on business. But university teachers and business talents are really incompatible. Teacher Lan, what about you? Obviously, Chin Yubo was also wondering about this matter. After a slight hesitation, he asked, then why don't you work in the family business? As far as he knew, when most of the family businesses were confiscated, the Lan family was one of the few special cases that was fortunate enough not to be changed. So in these years, when other families were idle, decentralized, imprisoned, or escaped, the Lan family was still in normal development. How could the younger generation be allowed to stray from the family business? Every man in the Lan family must gain some experience in society before he can truly enter the family business. Each man can choose the job based on his own ability. The better the results he will achieve in the future, the higher the rating he will receive. The first job position in the family is the more important. Lan Summing's explanation made everyone suddenly realize. If you think about it carefully, you will feel that this decision is really wise. The breadth of communication and the openness of contacts can definitely make a person grow quickly. Teacher Lan, I'm really sorry to trouble you so much, but... After a moment of hesitation, Chin's wife looked at Lan Summing seriously. This is the first time you and our old Chin have met. Why are you willing to help him? I said before that I think he is very filial, upright, and responsible. This punishment is unfair to him. Since I have the ability to help him, why should I stand by and watch? Lan Summing sighed. I've discovered that it's really hard to be a good person. Should I step on you now and you'll think it's normal? No, 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 Chin's wife waved her hands with a red face. The main reason is that there are too few people like you. Normally, there is no shortage of people who can provide icing on the cake. There are too few people who can help in times of need, so don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't believe you, it's just that I've received too many cold looks during this period, and I feel like I'm almost becoming suspicious. Chin Yubo sighed and looked at his wife guiltily. It's all my fault. Not only did I not comfort you when you were most uncomfortable, but I also turned into Bengali and hurt you. I really let you down. He turned to look at Lan Summing. No reward for no merit. No reward for no favor. Don't blame her, she just reasoned with common sense. I definitely don't mean not to believe you. You're so wordy. Lan Summing frowned. I'm not begging you now, I'm helping you. Can you please stop being so pretentious? It makes me feel like I'm being pretentious. At first, everyone thought Lan Summing was aloof and hard to get close to, but now they think he is quite sweet-tempered and quite likable, given his changes. He really made everyone look embarrassed, but they also really recognized him. When he first arrived. Although it shows his intention to help others, but his attitude is really unlikable, and anyone with a bit of self-respect will not be able to accept his way of helping others. But now it seems that he is just not very good at dealing with people. It is no wonder that he chose to be a university teacher. Doing other things is really a bit confusing for his personality. Feeling a little uncomfortable under the scorching eyes of everyone, Lan Summing coughed to cover up and stood up. Professor Chin, please discuss with your sister-in-law and then give me an answer. I will go back first. Wait. The person who stopped Lan Summing was not Chin Yubo, but Wu Jingbo. She sighed and said, Teacher Lan, before you came, I already told Professor Chin that I hope he can return to my grandfather. Work, so. She turned to look at Chin Yubo. Uncle, I still hope you can consider my side first, so as not to have the trouble of explaining to Teacher Lan later. I have already told you how much my grandfather looks forward to your return. I believe that you also hope that his old age will be less regretful. As for your worry about affecting him, it really will not happen. Grandpa has told me 1,000 times to tell you, don't let your master and apprentice get together indefinitely because of these unnecessary worries, and don't let him leave with regrets and guilt. Now that your aunt and younger brothers and sisters are here, I believe you have told them about your relationship with the Wu family before, right? If not, then I will tell them now. Wu Jingbo looked at Qin's wife. Auntie, do you know the master-disciple relationship between my uncle and my grandfather? Said. Qin's wife has been confused by the series of changes. How come there are so many more choices suddenly? Originally, she thought that it would be impossible for her family to turn around from the bottom. Now it seems that what happened to her husband this time does not seem to be a bad thing. Then please convince my uncle to go to my grandpa, okay? After all, my grandfather knows my uncle very well, and the environment is familiar to my uncle. He will definitely feel more comfortable than going to Teacher Ian's place. Who said our family is uncomfortable? Lan Summing interrupted her dissatisfied. Since I asked Professor Qin to work in the Lan family, I must not make him uncomfortable. I admit that my way of dealing with people is not particularly in line with everyone's taste, but I believe you have all seen my attitude and thoughts. Moreover, going to work at Ian's house ensures that Professor Qin and his family don't have to leave the capital or all their relatives and friends. Isn't this much more convenient than going to your house? Teacher Lan, your family is engaged in business. Uncle Shi's specialty is not business. If he were to go to your place, the job you could arrange for him would be to sit in an office and take care of some chores. Then you are really going to bury a talent. Let me tell you, your uncle is the most talented among the apprentices my grandfather has ever taught. Otherwise, would my grandfather have remembered him for so many years? Of course, my grandfather also has shortcomings. He clearly remembers him, but he is too embarrassed to put down his arrogance and come to see his uncle. Especially when he learned that his uncle's work was going smoothly, he felt even more embarrassed to bother him. If it weren't for this coincidence, my grandfather would probably have to live with guilt for the rest of his life. Therefore, even if it is to satisfy an old man's wish, you should give in, right? Moreover, your Lan family's business is spread all over the country, so there must be branches of yours in our family. If you really want to help your uncle, why not arrange a good job for your aunt? Of course, our family can also arrange a good job for aunt, but I am not doing this to make you feel that you have gained nothing, so let's arrange it according to what I said, okay? No, Lan Summing stroked his forehead speechlessly. Why does this whole list of things you said sound wrong to me? Why do I feel that I have gained nothing? I'm going to see Professor Qin. Are you working in the Lan family to get any benefits? Sorry, I used the wrong word. You should understand what I mean. In fact, what I am saying is, don't let yourself feel that you have worked hard in vain. Of course I know that you are not helping Professor Qin for any benefit. You are simply being heroic and showing loyalty. To be honest, a good person like you is really admirable. You see, I want to help my uncle because he is my uncle and my grandfather's apprentice. It is something that my grandfather has been thinking about for many years. To put it bluntly, whatever I do is what I should do. But what about you? You are different. Before today, you and your uncle didn't know each other at all. In other words, you and your uncle were strangers before. You can be so kind to a stranger. You are really holding a lantern. Good people are hard to find. Me, compared to you, I really can't even compare to your little toes, but for my grandpa, I really have to do this, and I have to make it happen. For the first time, everyone discovered that when Wu Jingbo started nagging, it was really not something that ordinary people could bear. No, Lan Summing couldn't bear it anymore and quickly waved her hand to interrupt her. Okay, I promise you, I won't compete with you, but let Professor Qin and sister-in-law make their own choices, and we are not allowed to interfere with them, okay? Okay. Wu Jingbo looked at Qin Yubo and Qin's wife, uncle, aunt, my grandfather is still eagerly waiting for your letter. He has even packed the house for you. Lan Summing. Is this non-interference? Chu Xia and others had stopped laughing. This was the first time they had seen Wu Jingbo like this. However, seeing her like this made them feel closer. In the past, she was always too indifferent, making everyone feel that she seemed to be right. It's like he doesn't care about anything. Speaking of which, Chu Xia got close to Yang Zili, Lin Mengran, and Li Xinlai after she went to college, and she got close to Wu Jingbo during 401, but now, it's obvious that they have a new relationship with her. This is really a close relationship with her. Her character has a lot to do with it. She is the kind of character who always wants to hide herself among people. After a long time, people really ignore her. Qin Yubo and Qin's wife also looked helpless. To be honest, this was basically forcing them into a corner and not allowing them to make a choice. To be honest, for Qin Yubo, of course he would rather return to work with his master, but he really couldn't do it without worrying about the impact he would have on the Wu family. After hesitating, he said, Jingbo, I accept your offer, but can you give me a little time? To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 942. Second update. Uncle Master, if the reason you want to consider is that you are worried about affecting the development of our family, then I can tell you clearly that your worries are absolutely unnecessary. At this age, my grandfather has encountered everything. He said personally that it will not affect me, so it definitely won't affect me. If you continue to refuse like this, you just don't want to go back to work with my grandfather. Of course, if you really think so, don't feel embarrassed. I will tell my grandpa the truth. He will definitely not force you again. It's not sweet to force yourself, right? Wu Jingbo didn't give Qin Yubo any time to breathe, so she said a long list of words. To put it bluntly, she basically forced the other party into a corner and was not allowed to move. If you don't go, it means you don't want to go. Or, you can only go. Qin Yubo was both helpless and moved now. Wu Jingbo had such an attitude, it must be because the master had specifically confessed that after so many years, the master was still thinking about him so much, which he never dared to think before. Qin's wife seemed to be in a dream now. Before, she was worried about having nowhere to go, but now she was worried about where to go. She had no regrets in leaving the capital. If she was originally reluctant to let go of her parents, after what happened in the past few days, her love for her parents was only responsibilities. In any case, they were the ones who gave birth to her and raised her, even if she had done everything she should have done over the years. Even after everything is done, I still owe them. From now on, it will be enough to pay them monthly alimony, visit them during holidays, and take care of them when they are sick. As for the brother and sister-in-law, they had no feelings before, and they are even less so now. In their eyes, it is appropriate to send money and things, and it is wrong to take advantage of the family. Although she knows that those who honor her parents will still fall into their hands, she can't really stop being kind to her parents because of this. She has no choice. Call her stupid or foolishly filial. She really can't do it. I ignored my parents from then on. After thinking about this, she looked at her husband, I don't have any objection to whatever you choose. Wherever you go, as long as I can be with you, as long as our family can be together, that's fine. Dad, I listen to you and Mom. Dad, I also listen to you and Mom. A pair of children also expressed their opinions. Qin Yubo, who was still hesitant at first, made up his mind and looked at Lan Summing, Teacher Lan, if you come here at this time, it is really a timely help. To be honest, I wanted to follow your arrangement just now, But Jingbo stopped talking about this. It would be hypocritical for me to worry about this or that. Of course, I also know very well that for a person like me, one more person is not more, one less is not a lot, and it has no impact at all on whether you go or not. I will even make it difficult for you to make arrangements. However, what is your intention? Regardless of whether I am useful to the Lan family or not, I feel very guilty for rejecting you now. I, Qin Yubo, have no ability, and the chance of helping you in the future is very small. However, I still want to assure you here that if there ever comes a day when you need me to do something, I will definitely do my best and do my best. Okay, Lan Summing nodded and turned to look at Wu Jingbo. If your family has some difficulties in making arrangements, my door is always open. Thank you, Teacher Lan, for your kindness, but I believe that the problem you are worried about will not exist. After all, our Wu family can still handle it locally. Besides, if he wasn't even sure at all, it would be impossible for my grandfather to ask his uncle and his family to come over. That would not be helping people, it would be harming them. At his age, he would never do something so unreliable. You, on the other hand, can do such a thing at this time. I must tell my grandfather that my grandfather is a person with a clear distinction between grudges and grudges. I believe that when he meets the Lan family in the future, he will show respect. Are you hostile to me? Lan Summing frowned and looked at her. Is it possible that because I want to help your uncle, you are hostile to me? Of course not. Wu Jingbo looked serious. You think too little of me. My attitude toward you is out of worry and nervousness. He said with an embarrassed smile. Actually, Master, my uncle has already agreed, so there is nothing to worry about. Maybe I was too nervous just now and haven't relaxed yet. There was a rare smile in Lan Summing's eyes, and he nodded to her. Okay, I believe what you said. Then he looked at Qin Yubo. It seems that there is no use for me to stay here anymore. However, I still want to add that if you need any help in the future, just ask. Although it is our first time to deal with you, I have a good impression of you and hope to become friends in the future. Okay, okay. Qin Yubo nodded repeatedly. I feel very good about you. We will definitely meet again in the future. Of course, when I ask for something, I will definitely ask for it. As long as it doesn't bother you. Qin's wife hurriedly blocked the door. Teacher Lan, it's already o'clock, you can stay and eat before leaving. Yes, yes. Qin Yubo patted his forehead, with a look of annoyance on his face. Look at my mind, I'm just thinking about my own things. Teacher Lan, don't take it off. I'm just a person like this. I've lost my roots after a while. String. No need. Lan Summing looked around the room and said, my sister-in-law has just come home. I guess there is no food at home. Don't bother. If you feel embarrassed, just wait until everything is arranged. Let's eat together before leaving. A meal. There are indeed vegetables and meat at home. She is not here these days, and I have no thoughts. The cabbage and meat I bought before are still in the kitchen. Before Qin Yubo finished speaking, Qin's wife quickly ran into the kitchen. After a moment, she came out with a look of helplessness. Old Qin, why don't you salt the meat? It's already smelly. Hee, if my dad could remember such things, he wouldn't be my dad. Qin Zhao teased his dad with a smile, then turned to look at Lan Summing. Teacher Lan, when you go out from our house, turn left and you will see the Supply and Marketing Cooperative. I am going to buy meat now. The dumplings made by my mother are delicious. If you don't stay, you will definitely regret it. Of course, what I regret most are my parents. They are so eager to thank you substantively. How upset would they be if they failed to do so? Just be a good person and do it to the end. It can also be considered as a celebration for our family to clear the clouds and see the sun rise. Okay. The pretty little girl said sweetly, and already reached out to take the money and meat tickets from her mother's hand. That attitude did not give Lan Suming a chance to refuse. Lan Suming, who had never encountered such an attitude before, was at a loss. In his lifetime, the Lan family had only one girl. She had lived among men since she was a child, and her temperament was like that of a boy. Therefore, she grew up at this age. He hasn't had much dealings with girls. Later, he went to study abroad. Because of his outstanding academic performance and outstanding appearance, many girls still took the initiative to strike up conversations with him even if he did not try to attract bees and butterflies. Even if he was not polite to those girls who took the initiative to strike up conversations, he still caused a big stir. He suffered a lot from the jealousy and rejection of some male classmates, which made him even more repulsive towards girls. As a result, when he saw girls, he unconsciously became cold. Unknown to him, I thought he was naturally withdrawn and difficult to approach. After returning to China, his family felt that he was not too young, so they arranged several blind dates for him, and the partners were all well-matched ladies. However, every time he sat there with a cold face for a long time, he would scare the other party away. To put it bluntly, he just doesn't know how to deal with girls. Even if the other party is a little girl of only 12 years old, he instinctively wants to refuse, but he admires Qin Yubo very much, so he can't say the words to refuse. Fortunately, Wu Jingbo came to his rescue in time. Because of Li Xinlai's matter, Wu Jingbo took the initiative to leave and made it clear that they really didn't leave lunch because they had other things to do. After several students left, he naturally had no need to stay. He couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief, and was secretly glad that he chose the profession of university teacher. Otherwise, his social skills could really kill him. When Wu Jingbo and others wanted to leave, Qin Yubo and Qin's wife naturally refused to let them go. Even if their reasons were so high-sounding, they couldn't let them leave easily. No matter how urgent the matter is, we have to eat before we talk. Qin's wife stepped forward and took Wu Jingbo's hand, tapping her chin in the direction of Chu Xia. This classmate is still pregnant, but we can't go hungry. Don't worry, Auntie, she won't be hungry. The house we are going to is her future third sister-in-law's house. Why don't we cook her something delicious first? We won't hide it from you. We decided to finish class in the morning. Later, we went to my third sister-in-law's house in early summer, but the uncle's matter happened unexpectedly, so we changed the plan. However, the other thing we have to do is also very important. It is best not to delay it for a moment, otherwise, the consequences will be disastrous. Don't worry, we are not the kind of people who are pretentious and polite. You dumplings, it's definitely not something that can be saved. How about we reschedule a time and we can come over together and help you make dumplings together? Then we can have a reunion dinner without any worries at all, okay? Mom, just listen to Sister Jingbo. Seeing that his mother was still trying to persuade her, Qin Zhaozhao said quickly, if you drag your sister along for a while, you will really delay their business. You kid. Qin's wife glared at her daughter helplessly and had no choice but to comply. After everyone left Qin's house, Lan Suming looked at a few people. What are you doing? Are you far away? I drove here and can take you there. Lin Mengran looked at him curiously. Looking at your appearance just now, it seemed that you were very unwilling to deal with girls. How could such a big change happen in the blink of an eye? R1152. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 943. Second update arrived. Alas, I can finally roll down and sleep. My body feels very uncomfortable. If I hadn't promised everyone, I really wouldn't be able to endure it. What are you thinking? You don't even acknowledge me when I talk to you. Lu Meijun poked Chu Xia's arm with chopsticks and looked her up and down. When I said you are not really interested in him, are you? It's a lot of words. Where did you want to go? Eat. Chu Xia glared at Lu Meijun, lowered her head and started eating. She couldn't help but secretly despise herself. Why did she think of that domineering guy's attitude? Alas, maybe she really has a taste for masochism. No one is picking on her, but she just came up with it here. That's right. How could you like Drjing in comparison with him? Lu Meijun muttered in a low voice and started to eat porridge in her mouth. At this time, Zhang Erniu came to the two of them with a lunchbox and smiled awkwardly. I will eat with you, okay. Sit down. Lu Meijun moved inside and asked doubtfully, didn't you come here a long time ago? Why are you just getting food now? I'm going to the latrine. Zhang Erniu smiled sheepishly. I wanted to wait for you guys to come, but I couldn't hold it any longer, so I went to the latrine first. No wonder he saw her running away as soon as they were dismissed. He thought she was hungry, but it turned out to be the case. Chu Xia tried hard to suppress the discomfort in her stomach, put down her chopsticks, and took a deep breath. She is most afraid of people talking about this kind of topic while she is eating. This kind of problem is definitely not something that can be changed if she wants to. In this era, she has tried to force herself to get rid of this problem more than once. Unfortunately, it was of no use at all. Lu Meijun looked at Chu Xia in confusion. What's wrong? In early summer, I put the remaining steamed buns into the lunchbox and fastened them. He also fastened the lunchbox containing the porridge. I'm not very hungry now, so you can eat slowly. I'm going back to the dormitory first. If it were normal, she might be able to bear to finish the porridge, but today, her father had surgery, and she was really panicked, and she didn't want to sit here and suffer anymore. Zhang Erniu fiercely covered her forehead and looked at Lu Meijun with an annoyed look on her face. I understand, Chu Xia didn't eat enough, it was me who said the wrong thing. Hey, Lu Meijun sighed slightly. He stroked Zhang Erniu's shoulder and said, eat. She won't blame you. You should be more careful in the future. Zhang Erniu's reply was drowned in Chu Xia's screams. She and Lu Meijun went back together, and happened to see Chu Xia kicking her hind legs a few steps and sitting on the ground. Opposite Chu Xia, stood a strong girl. They all knew her. She was from the female soldier company. Her name was Li Shuolai, and she had been seconded to the women's medical team to save emergency situations last time. They both stood up and wanted to help Chu Xia. But there was someone who took action one step earlier than them. It was Sun Shangmei. Why are you pushing her? Is she pushing against you? No skipping words. He helped Chu Xia and patted the dirt on her body. Sun Shangmei asked Li Shuolai displeasedly. Be careful when you walk, you are here to be a soldier. You are not here to be a charming lady. Li Shuolai snorted coldly and dropped these words. Turn around and walk out. Stop. The soldiers who were still in the dining room looked at Chu Xia curiously. They really couldn't imagine that this thin girl could make such a loud noise. It seemed that she was really angry. But no matter who you are, you won't feel happy if you are pushed down in public. What qualifications do you have to teach me a lesson? Just because you are a veteran, Chu Xia stared at her with anger in her eyes. Is it because I don't walk well, or do you not walk well? Li Shuolai pointed to the porridge soup on her body. This is the evidence. How about I sprinkle some on you? Chu Xia rolled her eyes speechlessly. If you didn't suddenly get in front of me and stop suddenly, would I bump into you? You obviously did this on purpose, but now you are trying to bully others. Just because you are strong, tall, and strong, you can bully others. Why did I bully you? Li Shuolai looked at her calmly. Okay, I'll tell you clearly. Indeed, I deliberately walked in front of you, made you bump into me, and then pushed you down on purpose. Coax. There was a flurry of discussion at the scene. The two were not on the same team, and I didn't hear of any grudges. This move was really confusing. I said, "You are here to be a soldier, not a eldest lady. Isn't it her?" Li Shuolai pointed at Zhang Erniu. "Isn't it the one who said she went to the latrine? As for you, you are disgusting to eat, don't want to eat? If you are like this, if you are asked to take care of a patient, you will not starve to death. No matter what I am doing is right or wrong, you are not qualified to push me to the ground." Chu Xia stared at her and snorted coldly, "Apologize to me. This matter can be settled like this today, otherwise, you will be responsible for all the consequences. You should thank me. I am helping you correct your problem so that you can become a qualified medical soldier in the future." Li Shuolai's face was so matter-of-fact that Chu Xia really wanted to scratch her face with two paws. Even her paws were indeed about to move now. However, with her small size and the other party's big size, Sun Shangmei was hesitating. She slammed into Li Shuolai, and without warning, Li Shuolai was knocked to the ground by her. She was even worse than Chu Xia just now. Chu Xia was sitting on the ground anyway, and she was hit by the porridge spilled under her feet and fell directly to the ground. As for the thrills she experienced during the process, no one could understand. Anyway, they just watched Li Shuolai shouting, waving her claws, and lying on the ground like a cannonball. "Do you think you can bully the people on the medical team?" Sun Shangmei snorted coldly. "It's even now." She turned to help Chu Xia. "Let's go back to the dormitory." Lu Meijun and Zhang Erniu, who were stunned, quickly closed their lunch boxes and walked out. "Stop. If you two have the guts, just stop." Li Shuolai got up and shouted from behind with her hands on her hips. Unfortunately, Chu Xia and Sun Shangmei ignored her and rushed out of the cafeteria, leaving her shouts to echo in the sky above the cafeteria. It wasn't that Li Shuolai didn't want to catch up, it was just that she had fallen too hard just now, and her hip bones were so painful that she didn't dare to move at all. Sun Shangmei was a strong worker who had been working hard for a long time, and she had trained hard during this period. It would be nice if she broke a bone. On the way back, Chu Xia felt mixed emotions. She never thought that Sun Shangmei would beat someone up because of her. In her impression, Sun Shangmei cared about honor very much. Fighting in the canteen is not a shameful thing, right? Many words. At this moment, Chu Xia was even thinking about finding some gold for this matter, but in the end, she realized that a fight is just a fight, and no gold would be of any use. "I've caused trouble for you thinking about being so silent all the time." Chu Xia raised her eyes and glanced at the tiger-faced Sun Shangmei and apologized to her. "Don't say you are from the hunky commune when you go out from now on. The hunky commune is not as cowardly as you. You have been bullied like that and you still don't fight back. I'm so angry." Chu Xia. Wasn't she thinking about the problem of power disparity, so she didn't have time to take action? What kind of embarrassment! If you really leave today, our medical team will be completely disgraced. The female soldiers have always looked down on the medical team and think that our people are weak. Humph, I will let them see. Who is so weak? Chu Xia suddenly realized that she was looking in the wrong direction just now. The key point is that she and Sun Shangmei are not in the same brain circuit. Is it possible that she doesn't feel that what she did just now is a bit inappropriate? What I don't understand is why that woman targeted Chu Xia, seeing that the two of them had never seen the essence of the problem and were just struggling there. Lu Meijun put forward her own opinion. Chu Xia curled her lips and nodded. "I'm also surprised. When she came to replace our team, she didn't interact with us. I didn't offend her. When she left, she didn't pay attention to us. Why do I think about it now? Are you paying attention to me? That's the way it is, and it's really a bit unpopular." Lu Meijun looked helpless. "It seems that you were not hurt by the fall, and you are still in the mood to joke." "Oh, I have to make fun of myself for making you all worry so much. I'm sorry, my dad had surgery today, and I've been in a state of anxiety. Otherwise, I wouldn't have happened like this. Alas, in short, no matter what the outcome is, I will definitely bear it. What are you talking about? Sun Changmei interrupted her, with a look of dissatisfaction on her face. I'm not helping you, I'm doing what I should do. What should I do? Chu Xia looked confused. Could it be that her way of thinking was wrong again? As a member of the women's medical team, of course I can't just watch you being bullied. Besides, you helped me at a critical moment. If I just stood by and watched, would I still be a human being? No skipping words. Chu Xia smiled helplessly. Okay, the performance is over. I helped you because I was moved by your persistence. You don't need to always feel that you owe me. Even if I don't owe you, we are all from the hunky commune, and I can't let you be bullied. Sun Changmei stared at Chu Xia seriously, but I warn you, if you are bullied in the future, even if you know that you can't beat them, you can't pretend to be a coward. Okay, Chu Xia could only agree helplessly. She finally understood. If she didn't agree, Sun Changmei would definitely not be able to let her go easily. Alas, she really didn't have the affection to talk to her today, and there was also the matter of Li Shualai. Sigh, I'm so annoyed with her. How about I go with you to ask for leave from the captain? After all, it's uncle's surgery, and you have no intention of staying here like this. Crunch. As soon as Lu Meijun finished speaking, a car stopped beside a few people, and Jing Zhe poked his head out. Lin Chuxia, get in the car, your father's surgery will start in an hour and a half. Chu Xia couldn't care about anything at the moment. Screw the recruits, screw other people's gossip, screw the attention and influence. For her father, she didn't care about anything. To be continued. Mobile phone users, please go to M to read. Chapter 173 Go. Chapter 173 Go asterisk. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 944. However, I have also decided to let nature take its course. If there is fate, we will naturally be together. If there is no fate, I have done my best, so there is nothing to be sad about. Early summer. Fang Jingze looked happy when she saw the sudden visit of early summer. What kind of strong wind brought you here? Let me see if the sun is coming out from the west. Chapter 917. Third sister-in-law, please don't be so exaggerated. Okay, there were other people in the office, so Chu Xia lowered her voice. Third sister-in-law, I have something serious to ask you. Xinlai and the others are waiting outside. Can you go and invite me? It's a day off. Would you like to have dinner with us at noon? Okay. Fang Jingze responded and stood up. Sit here and wait for me. Please ask for leave and I will come find you. By the way, are Xinlai and the others outside the office? Well, they are outside the office, but in the car. The group appearance was a bit shocking, so they asked me to be the representative. Chu Xia smiled sheepishly and kept her voice low. Actually, it's mainly because I'm sitting inside after a long time, I feel cramped, so I take the opportunity to come down and move around. You should move more now. Fang Jingze poured a cup of hot water for her, then turned and left. As soon as her figure disappeared from the door, the female teacher sitting in front of Fang Jingze turned around and smiled at Chu Xia. I haven't heard that Xiao Fang is getting married. Why do you call her third sister-in-law? This is another gossip. Chu Xia smiled at her and said, I'm not married, but I'm engaged. In our case, if we're engaged, it's considered a relationship. Naturally, we have to change our tune. Oh. The female teacher slapped her forehead repeatedly. Look at my brain, why didn't I think of this? Of course, the main reason is that I never heard her talk about getting engaged. This little square. Her mouth is so tight that we all thought she didn't have a partner yet. Teacher Lee and Teacher Wang in our office are secretly worried about her and want to help her find someone. According to Lin Wenji's character, it's impossible that he hasn't come to see Fang Jingzi, right? Even if Fang Jingzi's job has just been adjusted for more than 3 months, it's impossible that he hasn't been here, right? With this thought in her mind, Chu Xia's face showed no change, and she looked at the female teacher with a smile. You were shy-skinned before you were married. This is understandable, right? Yes, yes. The female teacher nodded repeatedly and simply turned around and sat down. He looked at Chu Xia and said, Daughter, you are quite young this month, but you are not very old. You are getting married very early, right? Yes, my husband is older, so he got married earlier. There was no way. Her childish look couldn't deceive anyone. The more vague the words are, the easier it is for people to think too much. It's better to answer truthfully. Oh, the third brother you just mentioned is your relative. Chu Xia looked at the female teacher with some confusion. Is her curiosity a little too much? It was the first time they met, and they weren't here to see her. What were they planning to do by interrogating her so carefully? That. I'm just asking. When Chu Xia looked at her with confusion, the female teacher became a little embarrassed. I have been working with Xiao Fang for such a long time, and I don't know much about her. No one has come to see her before. I didn't meet you today. I saw that you were talkative and wanted to chat with you, so that it would be easier for us to get along with Xiao Fang in the future. If you have anything to ask, just tell me directly. Chu Xia smiled faintly at her. You are so roundabout, which makes me feel uneasy. Although this is our first meeting, you don't have to be polite. Just ask the truth. If I can answer, I will tell you. If you can't answer, I'm sorry. Then I can only say sorry. What Chu Xia said was a bit rude. To be honest, she was so rude because she didn't like the female teacher very much. Even if it was gossip, it couldn't be like this, right? The female teacher smiled uncomfortably and turned back. The other 2 teachers in the office raised their heads and glanced at her, with a vague smile on their lips. It was obvious that her frustration made them feel happy. This also shows that her popularity in the office is really extremely poor. It happened that Fang Jingzi came back from leave at this moment. Chu Xia quickly stood up and greeted her. Can you go? Let's go. Fang Jingzi held her arm. If anything happens in the future, just call me and I'll come find you. The month is so old, so pay more attention. Even if you need to move more, you don't need to move so far. Bar. Isn't this a special situation today? Chu Xia smiled at her, and when there was no one around, she whispered, by the way, when you went out just now, the female teacher sitting in front of you turned around to ask me about it, and I choked. You want to know if I'm married? Yeah. Chu Xia spread her hands. Third sister-in-law, I didn't mean to help third brother declare his sovereignty. I really didn't know that you didn't even tell your colleagues that you have a master. It's only been 3 months since I was transferred here, and they don't even ask directly, so I can't just take the initiative, right? Fang Jingzi also spread her hands. That would be a shame, isn't it? No, they are also beating around the bush when they talk to you. The 2 of them were talking and had already gotten into the car. Lin Mengran hurriedly interrupted. Who was beating around the bush? Look at what's on your mind. Chu Xia looked at her helplessly and couldn't help laughing. However, with your temperament, it's not easy to sit in the car and wait for such a long time. Yes, if I weren't afraid of being too conspicuous, I would definitely have followed. Lin Mengran continued to ask, who was talking in a roundabout way? Did someone bully you just now? Uncle Wang, let's go to the Great Bright on Renmin Road. After Chu Xia and Wang Zhongliang finished talking, they turned to Lin Mengran. You underestimate me too much. Am I the kind of person who still swallows my anger after being bullied? When the third sister-in-law went to ask for leave just now, one of her colleagues called her a gossip. I felt that this person was a bit too gossipy, so I informed the third sister-in-law. And I guess, there must be something inside. Third sister-in-law, why don't you tell us about this first? The matter about Li Xinlan cannot be solved in a few words, so Chu Xia didn't mention it yet. The female teacher's name is Wang Xiaojing. She has a nephew who is about the same age as me. When she came to see her, she glanced at me a few times, and she became worried, fearing that I would rob her nephew. But the problem is that she didn't say it outright, she just tried to convince me in a roundabout way. If I had been working for a long time and got familiar with it, I would tell her straight away that I have a boss. But not long after we were colleagues, it's hard to act so tough. I'm not someone who fears small things, but I don't want the Lin family to be criticized because of me. To be honest, when I planned to be with Lin Wenjia, I really didn't expect that there would be so many problems. You made it clear that I got my job based on my own ability. When I didn't know him before, I was engaged in this kind of job. But when my colleagues who were not familiar with me found out about my relationship with him, they felt that I was borrowing the favor of the Lin family. Can you reach the leadership level at a young age? If I really couldn't stay in my original workplace, I wouldn't have asked to be transferred to this school. If I revealed my husband's identity as soon as I arrived, would I have to make the same mistake again? Therefore, as long as people don't pick on the obvious, I will tell them openly. Anyway, they can guess whatever they want. As for Teacher Wang's worries, they will naturally disappear after a long time. Is Mr. Wang's nephew very good? Lin Mengran asked curiously. Sister Jingzi, your conditions are probably not worthy of ordinary men. What is she dissatisfied with? Look, are you bragging about your own family? Fang Jingzi sighed and said, you have to consider my age. In the eyes of ordinary people, if I am not married at this age, I am already considered an outlier. In their opinion, I am either mentally or physically abnormal, or my family background is too poor. Anyway, these 3 points cannot be ruled out for the possibility of me not getting married. Teacher Wang's brother is the principal of Yuheng Middle School, and her nephew has already become the workshop director at a young age. In her opinion, if I get along with her nephew, it will definitely be a toad eating swan meat. Of course, that toad is me. Make no mistake. Superficial. Lin Mengran frowned tightly. What annoys me the most is this statement, and what I hate the most is, why should a woman get married 2 years younger than a man? This is simply obvious. Discrimination. Lin Mengran didn't mention this, but everyone really hadn't thought about it carefully. When she said this, everyone felt that it really made sense. The marriage law stipulates that the legal age for marriage of women is 2 years younger than that of men. No wonder everyone is discriminatory in this regard. There are more girls. It's a little better in cities, especially in rural areas. As long as a girl is a little older, she has to look low to find a partner. If she hasn't found her husband's family by the age of 27 or 8, the matchmaker will specially introduce someone with a disability or a second marriage. Or the family is extremely poor. Of course, in rural areas, older men are not recommended to find someone with similar conditions. Mainly, regardless of whether they are men or women, as long as they are older, it is too difficult to find someone of similar age who has similar conditions. Although Zhang Fenying and Zhang Gai can live in the city, if they don't go to college, the possibility of finding someone of the right age is basically zero. Think about the leftover men and women everywhere in the future, not to mention those in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. There are also many singles. If it were left now, they would definitely be drowned in spittle. Yang Xiaoli looked at Lin Mengran with a smile. Boss, you are still very good at getting to the core of the problem. Why haven't you discovered this advantage of yours before? You were the ones who looked down on me before. Lin Mengran rolled her eyes at her. quickly opened the door and got out of the car. Hurry up, I'm starving to death. I've even let you drink the soup, but my stomach is empty. Everyone. Is it possible that after drinking soup from a pregnant woman, the capacity of the stomach will also change? To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 945. Second update. After everyone arrived at the hotel and sat down, Chu Xia looked at Fang Jingzi and got to the point. Sister-in-law, we originally planned to go to your house. Fortunately, we remembered halfway that you won't go home for lunch after changing your job. Otherwise, I really don't know how to explain it to Uncle Fang and Aunt Fang. Third sister-in-law, is Fang Jingwen still continuing to interact with Li Xinlan? Yeah. Fang Jingzi smiled helplessly. His personality never changes at all. Even if others tell him that he and Li Xinlan are not suitable, he will not listen. Now it has developed to the point where we can no longer tolerate talking about Li Xinlan. Even if Li Xinlan ignores him, he still thinks it is his personality. Anyway, in his heart, Li Xinlan's shit tastes good. Ahem, what I said is a bit vulgar, but that's the truth. She looked at Li Xinlai apologetically. Lily, don't be angry when I say this to your sister. I won't be angry. Li Xinlai sighed. I came to see Sister Jingzi today because my sister did something unreliable again. I hope that through this time, Brother Jingwen can wake up. Sister Jingzi, you also know about Zhangji and me. Although Zhangji's mother still doesn't agree with us being together, we are both in love. As a result, my sister started to have ideas about Zhangji after she found out about his family background. If Zhangji hadn't ignored her, she would have left me and gone to find Zhangji. Today, she forced me to notify Zhangji to move her house. He said no more. It is estimated that she will definitely go to grind against Zhangji now, so we want Sister Jingzi to arrange for Brother Jingwen to participate in this matter. No matter what happens to my sister and Zhangji, at least we can make Brother Jingwen understand. Okay. Brother Jingwen didn't believe it before because he didn't grasp the reason and my sister would act coquettishly and show weakness. If you put an example in front of Brother Jingwen, he shouldn't be so insistent, right? Who knows? Fang Jingzi looked at her gratefully. Lily. Anyway, thank you for your help. To be honest, my parents almost made Jingwen worried to death. Seeing that he is getting older year by year, if he continues like this and he and Li Xinlan really get married, my parents will cry to death. Even if it doesn't happen, there will be an uproar by then. Who among the girls from a good family will be willing to marry him? What Fang Jingzi said is true. If Fang Jingwen continues to delay like this, even if Fang Jingwen breaks up with Li Xinlan, children from decent families will not dare to marry him. What if Li Xinlan makes a comeback one day? Moreover, given Fang Jingwen's obsession with her, God knows if they will directly turn against each other when the time comes, which would really cost someone's life. Just as the food was being served, Chu Xia greeted everyone, then let's hurry up and eat, and take advantage of the free time at noon to get this done. Li Xinlan must go to Zhangji at noon, so let's speed up. No, it will be delayed. She was really right about what happened. Fang Jingzi managed to pull Fang Jingwen out, and everyone rushed to the post office where Zhangji worked. Li Xinlan was crying and begging Zhangji for help. Seeing the sudden appearance of a group of people, Li Xinlan was obviously stunned, and then she cried even more sadly. Zhangji, you saw it, this is my sister. You promised me well, but you still don't trust me. You brought such a large group of people to spy on me. Now do you believe what I say? I just don't know how to do it. That's why he is not popular and always makes people gossip. From small to large. My sister is better at pretending than I am, and everyone says she is more sensible than me. My father also loved her. My mother wanted to control her, but my father stopped her. As a result, she became a habit of lying. Of course, you may still not believe what I say now, but I, Lee Zinlin, dare to swear to God that what I said is all true. Whether you believe it or not, time will prove my innocence. Lee Zinlai looked calmly at Zhang Ji, who was sitting there with her brows furrowed. Without saying a word, Zhang Ji ran over first. What the hell? Why did you ask her to come to me? Zhang Ji, you really don't understand me. Lee Zinlai sighed. It's not like you don't know what my relationship with her is like. Do you think I will send her here to ask you for help? This. Zhang Ji took out a letter from his pocket and handed it to her. Take a look. Li Xinlai opened it in confusion and was stunned for a moment. The letter was written by her. Oh, to be precise, the handwriting on the letter was hers. It was so real that even she couldn't tell it. If she hadn't been sure that she didn't write it, after reading such a letter, I really feel that it was really written by me. Li Xinlan, you are quite thoughtful. Li Xinlai sighed and looked at Zhang Ji. Do you think I would write such a letter to you? It is clear that I want you to marry her and give up on me. Do you think I will? Are you so mentally retarded? She handed the letter to Fang Jingwen. Look, this is a letter my sister wrote to my boyfriend imitating my handwriting and tone. If brother Jingwen still insists that she is the one you love most and will never marry except her in this life, then just pretend that I didn't say or do anything today, and I will never come between you and her again in the future. Anything. Also, I must make it clear that I am willing to do this today because I am thinking of the neighborly relationship we have grown up together, thinking of Uncle Fang and Aunt Fang's kindness to me, and thinking of Sister Jing's love for me. And brother Jingwen, you are also very kind to me. I remember these feelings clearly, so today, I am willing to expose our family's disgrace in front of everyone. I am willing to expose my nakedness so that you, brother Jingwen, can see clearly. Fact. Uncle Fang and Aunt Fang are not young anymore. They used to worry about the marriage of the two sisters. Now that the two sisters have settled down, they have begun to worry about you again. I believe that seeing them so sad makes brother Jingwen feel uncomfortable. Right? Li Xinlan. The anger in Fang Jingwen's eyes was clearly visible. Can you tell me what is going on right now? You have promised me that after a while, the relationship between you and my family will be better. You will marry me, but what do you do now? My sister also wants to snatch her boyfriend. How can you do it? I just thought you were a little willful before, but now it seems that you are extremely selfish. Fang Jingwen, are you embarrassed to say these things? Li Xinlan sneered and turned her eyes to him. I did want to be with you, but that was once. If you are willing to convince your family to accept me, if you are willing to fight with your family, I will definitely accompany you, but what have you done? Besides keeping a sullen face, what else have you done? I can't see hope. Really, I feel that if I keep waiting like this, I'll probably wait until my hair turns gray and you're still making me wait. A man's age is not a fatal injury, but a woman's is. I don't want to become like your eldest sister and become the object of everyone's jokes, so when I meet the right person, I will naturally take the initiative. She quickly looked at Zhang Ji. Yes, I like you. Everything is an excuse for me to accept you. My feelings for you are not like my sister. She obviously wants to be with you and likes you, but she has to pretend to be aloof. Let me tell you, growing up, this is what I hate the most. It's also because she's always like this that everyone praises her for hating me. What kind of good person would a person who likes to climb up on other people's shoulders be? Are you going to marry a wife who plays tricks on you, or a wife who puts you first in everything and only has you in her heart? Of course, you may have doubts about my feelings, but feelings are so inexplicable. Even I can't explain my feelings for you clearly, but I am very sure that you are the person I have been looking for. I also know that your mother does not accept our family's situation. It doesn't matter. I can work hard. As long as you agree to be with me, I will definitely be able to satisfy your mother. In the future, I will definitely be a good wife who is qualified to fight for your face. Zhangji, I am such a straightforward person, I just like you if you like me, there is no need to hide and dress up, and there is no need to deliberately ignore others in order to show your nobility. Men and women are equal, so not only men's happiness must be fought for by themselves, but women's happiness must also be fought for by themselves. I hope you can understand my intentions and give me this opportunity. Of course, you can also reject me, but I tell you clearly that in this life, I will rely on you and identify you. If you don't accept me now, you will accept me one day. I have the patience to wait. If you don't believe me, you can take a look at him. She pointed at Zhang Ji, his sister married into the Lin family in Beijing. You know what kind of family that is. When I was getting along with him, everyone thought I was interested in the Lin family's family background and wanted to use him to get a rich husband. To be honest, I found it very funny to hear their speculations. If I really wanted to meet the Lin family through him, I would not meet the Lin family as my girlfriend. How could a family like the Lin family accept a girl with a boyfriend? I didn't explain before because I was used to being wronged. Now I explain because I care about you and don't want you to wrong me. Whether you believe it or not, what I said is true anyway. Yes, at this moment, Fang Jingwen has become a springboard for Li Xinlan to take advantage of. However, with her series of confessions, Li Xinlai's face became increasingly ugly. If Fang Ji had not given Li Xinlan a different attitude, she would not have said this now. Before, Fang Ji was not willing to take another look at Li Xinlan. With this in mind, her eyes turned to Zhang Ji, who happened to look over and caught her eye, so he smiled at her, stepped forward to hold her hand, and looked at Li Xinlan. This is my answer, do you understand? To be continued. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 946. One update arrived. After a slight hesitation, Li Xinlai took her hand out of Zhang Ji's. Emotionally, I am very cautious, so if you don't have a reasonable explanation, you don't have the right to make a decision. Hey. Zhang Ji sighed heavily, if I don't explain, can you believe me? No, Li Xinlai took a step back, I know her character too well, and I know your character too well. If nothing happened before we arrived, the routine would not be like this. To be honest, of course I believe that you are not a person who swings around emotionally, let alone have anything to do with her. However, your attitude makes me suspicious, so I want you to tell me clearly why. No matter how bizarre the explanation you give, I will believe it and I will never think that you are looking for a reason. Zhang Ji, I have said before that two people must be honest when they are together. Now I want your honesty. Okay. Zhang Ji smiled bitterly, you really know me well. Indeed, if there were no special reasons, I would definitely not allow her to say such things here. When she came, my mother happened to bring Gu Yume to me. You can roughly tell my mother's temperament. She was totally indifferent for a while. She felt that she had watched Gu Yume grow up, her family background was similar, her appearance matched her aesthetics, and her personality was compatible with hers, so she especially hoped that Gu Yume and I could be together. You should have noticed this the last time you went there. Of course, you also know my attitude. I have always treated Gu Yume as an ordinary neighbor. To be honest, we never played together much when we were children. When we got older, we went to different schools, and because of our rebellion in adolescence, we didn't talk much. Although she and I don't know each other very well. But she always comes to my house with her mother to play with my mother, so we need to get serious about it. She spent more time with my mother than I did with my mother. This is the fundamental reason why my mother likes her so much, but she is married to a daughter-in-law, not a husband, and I can't live with her even if I get along with her. Naturally, I can't let her be my boss. Before we were in a relationship with you, my mother would always tease me about this, but I didn't take the initiative. Now it's probably up to us. My mother was so anxious that she brought Guyuma to see me at noon. Didn't Lee Zinlan see this today? When she went in, she caught up with my mother trying to get me and Guyuma together. Then, Lee Zinlan caught the handle. She said that if I didn't help her, she would tell you that my mother wanted to change her daughter-in-law. To be honest, I really scared her. I was afraid that you would know this. If she really ignores me, I'll talk to her nicely and ask her not to tell you about this. Then you know everything that happened. That's how it is. I really didn't tell any lies. Zinlai, you must believe me. You can't be tempted by her and break up with me. That would really be her wish. Lee Zinlai looked at him speechlessly. Is that all? Yeah. Zhang Ji looked at her with a worried expression. Aren't you angry? What should I be angry about? Lee Zinlai chuckled. You and Guyuma were childhood sweethearts who grew up together, and it's not like we had nothing to do with each other after we met me. What should I be angry about? However, I'm a little confused. Hasn't your childhood sweetheart been talkative since he was a child? Zhang Ji tried his best to think about it for a long time. Embarrassed smile, I can't remember. Anyway, we haven't had much contact since we were young. At that time, the boys in our courtyard were not willing to play with girls. I was afraid that others would say something about me. Every time she went to me at home, everyone deliberately hid away. Later, when I went to middle school, I avoided her because I was too embarrassed to talk to girls. So, I really don't know what kind of character she is. Anyway, I see her and her mother accompanying my mother every time I go home. The conversation was so heated, to be honest, at that time I had a feeling that she and my mother were of the same age. Hey. Lee Zinlai sighed, she is not the same age as your mother and likes to chat with your mother. She has liked you since very early. Otherwise, she would stay in your house until the end of time. Speaking of which, you are also a dull person. I have liked you for so many years and yet I didn't make my intention clear. Otherwise, how could it be my turn? No wonder your mother can't accept me so much. How could she accept me after being with her for more than 10 years? Zhang Ji, let's be serious, you really have to take this matter seriously. Your mother's feelings for her can even be compared with her feelings for you. Under such circumstances, how can your mother accept your marriage? Other people? Li Zinlan quickly interrupted, Zhang Ji, as you can see, she is such a person who is afraid of wolves and tigers and demands others to be perfect in everything. If it were me, my answer now would be, no matter what Guyuma thinks of you, no matter how good your mother is, there is nothing to be afraid of. I can have a good relationship with your mother in the shortest time. Shut up, Zhang Ji glared at her, you threatened me with this before. I was stupid, but I actually shocked you. Now that I think about it, I'm such a bastard. Looking at Li Zinlai, we have been together for such a long time, and we know your character fairly well. It's my fault that I still think of you as such a petty person. Don't be angry with me, okay? I'm not angry with you. Li Zinlai smiled, okay, I'll tell you now, you don't have to help her move, and you don't have to talk to her in the future. You use this method to steal your sister's boyfriend. She is not worthy of her sister at all. Call. Okay, Zhang Ji nodded, I will listen to you. He turned to look at Fang Jingguan. Fang Jingguan, we are not very familiar with each other, but Zinlai can bring you here in this way today. I hope you can come out in this relationship. As her boyfriend, I should do my best. One thing you may not know is that Zinlai's notice of admission to college was almost lost. If I hadn't known her and happened to see her in another area, she would never have gone to college. It was Li Xinlan who did this. After the incident happened, Xinlai asked me not to publicize it. She said that it would not be Li Xinlan's face that would be embarrassed, but the face of their family, so she must think about her father. If Xinlai hadn't stopped her, Li Xinlan's reputation would have been lost long ago. As a sister, she is always jealous of her sister, framed her, and ignores her sister's tolerance and generosity. Are you sure you deserve to like such a woman? You've even done such a thing. Fang Jingwen frowned and looked at Li Xinlan. Didn't you tell me that it was Lily who delayed your review and caused you to fail to take the exam? How did it become your fault? She. Jingwen, don't listen to his nonsense. You knew it before. I can't pretend, but Li Xinlai can pretend. Zhang Ji was blinded by her and believed her in everything. You can't do this. Li Xian said with a blue itch. He said while pulling Fang Jingwen's sleeve, I promise you, I will be with you wholeheartedly from now on and never think about anything else. In fact, I didn't want to betray you, but seeing that your family still refused to accept me, I was anxious, for fear that if I continued like this, I would be older and have to marry someone who wasn't decent. Especially my parents got divorced again. My dad only kissed Li Xinlai. After my mom got a boyfriend, she didn't care about me at all. You said I'm a weak woman and no one else cares about me. If I don't, can you plan for yourself? I know that you have the kindest heart and treat me the best. It's my fault that I doubt you would do such a thing. You can hit me or scold me, but don't let me go. My mother is gone. I really no one wants it anymore. Jingwen, think about what she said to you when she wanted to climb a high tree. You can't let her play with you like this anymore. Fang Jingzi said anxiously, fearing that her brother would be tricked again, if you believe her, and the next time she encounters someone with similar conditions, she will try this trick again, and you are basically her spare tire. Jingwen, you have to think clearly. Sister. Fang Jingwen sighed and looked at Fang Jingzi. Am I so stupid in your mind? Besides, no matter how stupid I am, after what happened just now, I can't just pretend that nothing happened. Well. He turned to look at Li Xinlan. Do you know why I kept insisting? Fang Jingwen's attitude frightened Li Xinlan, so he held her tightly. Jingwen, don't scare me. I know you love me the most. You said you won't marry anyone but me in this life. You can't regret, Jingwen. Yes, I said I love you, and I won't marry you unless you are the one. What I said is true, but the premise is that you also love me. Fang Jingwen sighed again. Everyone thinks I am a fool and a charlatan. Idiot, I know clearly that you don't like me, and that you hate the poor and love the rich, yet I still quarrel with my family because of you, and make my elders half angry to death. In fact, I just hope that I can be a dedicated person, and I have always insisted that if you love someone, you must believe in them, and no matter what others say, you must give them trust. Especially, you didn't like me in the first place, and it was me who chased you so hard that you agreed to be with me. I feel that your attitude toward me is a bit off, and that's what you should do. However, I realized today that I was wrong. Being single-minded is indeed very important, but you also have to decide what to do based on the actual situation. Take me and you as examples, one is single-minded and the other is sentimental. That single-minded one seems particularly ridiculous. Fortunately, it's not too late for me to wake up. Fortunately, my family has not given up on me, and I can still live at home. Li Xinlan, our matter ends here. From now on, don't go to my house, and don't look for me again. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 947. One update arrived. Li Xinlai had never expected Fang Jingwen's sudden change of attitude to be so cold. In her impression, Fang Jingwen was simply a coward and a coward to the extreme. Even calling him the word man is derogatory to all men in the world. His simple mind, his lack of opinion, his obsession with her, all made her looked down upon. Because of these characteristics of his, she never felt the slightest bit towards him. The reason she was with him at first was to use him to make a good future for herself by leveraging the good luck of his sister Fang Jingzi. Unfortunately, the Fang family was too defensive against her, making it impossible for her to realize her idea. Later, she thought, it would be better to save the country. Fang Jingwen is the only male in the Fang family. No matter what happens, the Fang family will force Fang Jingzi to pull her brother. Then she and Fang Jingwen will eventually get what she wants. Want life. However, after waiting for a month, she lost her patience. Not to mention Fang Jingwen, even Fang Jingzi's own work had not been adjusted. She didn't know when the waiting would end. When I thought about it carefully, I felt that I was really stupid. The Fang family and the Lin family were clearly not the same family. How could Fang Jingzi seek benefits for her mother-in-law's family at this time in order to make her husband's family like her? Even if she is really married, it is unknown whether Fang Jingzi will seek benefits for her husband's family in order to please her husband's family, which means that her curve to save the country may be simply wrong. So, does it make sense to wait any longer? Especially, the people in the Fang family still dislike her and don't have a good look towards her. With her conditions, why should she be with a loser she doesn't like? Also look at the faces of his family. However, she was not willing to be separated like this. After all, they had persisted for so long. Isn't it too much of a loss to just divide them without getting any benefits? So she decided to ride on a donkey to find a horse. If she met someone with good conditions, she would separate from Fang Jingwen regardless of whether she could benefit from the Fang family. If you encounter no, then hold off for now. What if Fang Jingzi marries the Lin family in the capital and turns around? Regardless of whether the Fang family liked her or not, Fang Jingwen was completely devoted to her anyway. She only had such a son in the Fang family, so she didn't believe that the whole family could be so cruel as to make things difficult for Fang Jingwen. Besides, even if that day does come, leave everything to Fang Jingwen to handle. If he couldn't even handle this kind of thing well, what qualifications did he have to ask her to be his wife? And she didn't believe that Fang's father and Fang's mother had the nerve to keep making it difficult for their son to be a good person. To be honest, her recipe Jingwen is simply more than enough. For the old Fang family to be able to marry a daughter-in-law like her, it is a blessing. But no matter what, Fang Jingwen is her second record. Because the other party is really not her type, in this entanglement. She thought of 11 Jiangtong. 11 Jiangtong's infatuation with her is comparable to Fang Jingwen's, otherwise. Nor would he change the mailing address of Li Xinlai's admission notice under her command just to please her. Although 11 Jiangtong's father was just an ordinary teacher, his mother was a doctor, and his family background was not considered outstanding, 11 Jiangtong's grandfather was a famous anti-Japanese hero. He was implicated by 11 Jiangtong's grandma and was imprisoned. Later, it was proved through investigation that although Grandma 11 is a capitalist lady, she was expelled from her natal family long ago because she married Grandpa 11 Jiangtong. Then the old couple were released, but Grandpa 11 never received any more attention. The reason was naturally because of Grandma 11. Now a large number of people have turned over because of their redress. Does that mean that the 11 family is this also the most likely? In any case, she felt that it was safer to take a two-pronged approach. If this didn't work, there would be that. Anyway, she had to choose one that she liked, and she couldn't lose herself. However, just when she was about to express her attitude to 11 Jiangtong, Li Xinlai discovered what she had done and made it clear that she was going to sue her. She was really frightened at that time. This matter is not a small crime, she was in her best years. If she was stained by this, even an ordinary man would probably not marry her, let alone a decent man. After her pleading, Li Xinlai finally suppressed the matter, and she began to behave with her tail between her legs. As for trying it with 11 Jiangtong, she had no thoughts at all. If something happened one day, 11 Jiangtong's fate would not be better than hers, so she'd better stay away from him. Then, suddenly one day, she discovered Zhang Ji's identity. She had always been unwilling to take a serious look at this man who had been delivering letters to their area, but she did not expect that the man had such an identity and background. Suddenly she felt unbalanced. Why could Li Xinlai be admitted to university and she could only be an ordinary worker? Why should Li Xinlai marry a better man than Fang Jingguan, but she could only live with Fang Jingguan? She was not exaggerating when she used the word. Fang Jingguan, who works in technology, was too boring. Every day they were together, they only read books. After being asked by herself, she finally stopped reading, but all she did was sit and accompany her. With this idea in mind, she began to pay attention to Zhang Ji. If she couldn't find any other channel, she would go to Li Xinlai every week during her break. Because the day she was resting happened to be when Zhang Ji was also resting, so the chance of a collision was very high. Gradually, she discovered that Zhang Ji was really a good man who was hard to find even with a lantern. He had a good family background, good looks, and was careful. He was exactly the ideal type she had always wanted to find. As a result, the thoughts in her heart became more and more determined. She believed that with her charm, one day she would make Zhang Ji surrender. Unfortunately, during the testing process, she found that Zhang Ji's attitude was too tough and he would not accept the move at all. She had no choice but to use the method like today. Her idea was that if she succeeded, she would make a profit. It didn't matter, she would go find her sister and tell her about Jiang's mother bringing the girl to Fang Jingguan. Anyway, what she said is the truth. As long as Li Xinlai takes it to heart, conflicts will break out one day. She knew her sister's character very well. She seemed gentle and quiet, but if she really got stubborn, even 10 cows wouldn't be able to pull her back. As for herself, she still has Fang Jingguan as a spare tire. No matter when the time comes, Fang Jingguan will never abandon her. She still has this confidence. However, what is happening now? This guy who had always been so honest that he would only answer yes or good to her, actually told her clearly that he would not be with her anymore. She's not allowed to go to his house, and he doesn't want to see her again. She stared blankly at Fang Jingguan, with disbelief on her face. The most important thing is that she can't accept this reality. It's impossible to be with Zhang Ji, and it's impossible to be with Fang Jingguan. Suddenly, she looked at Li Xinlai. Do you really think you and Zhang Ji are together? Will we be happy together? Then it's none of your business. Li Xinlai looked at her indifferently. Why, when you find out that you got nothing out of the calculation, you just want to be a backup? Li Xinlan, is it in your heart that no one except you or you and everyone a fool? Of course, I know very well that there are still many problems to be solved between Zhang Ji and I, but I am confident that as long as he and I are of the same mind, nothing will be a problem. Even if I work hard until we can't be together in the end, I don't have any regrets. At least I tried hard and I worked honestly, that's enough. I can also say nice things. Li Xinlan raised her eyebrows. I can say that as long as I work hard, one day I will meet the most suitable man for me and live the happiest life. But these can only, it is said, to be a wish, but whether it can be realized or not is unknown. Moreover, I am close to Zhang Ji. On the one hand, I want to be with him. On the other hand, am I not helping you verify a man's sincerity towards you? For now, he is completely devoted to you, but how long can this kind of devotion last? If nothing else, it's just our mother's business. Can the Zhang family accept it? My parents were divorced, my sister was abandoned, and my mother ran away with a shady man. With such a family background, I would be surprised if the Zhang family could accept it. Of course, I know very well that telling you this will only make you more determined to be with Zhangji, because in your heart, I don't wish you well at all. However, as your biological sister, whether you believe me or not, I must fulfill my responsibility and tell you what I think. It is up to you whether you can listen to it or not. Also, his childhood sweetheart would never let go of him easily. If a girl who could persist for so many years could let go easily, she wouldn't be her. Even if you are married. Li Xinlan spread her hands and said, "You don't need to tell me what's going on. I've reminded you of everything you need to know. Just take care of yourself." Obviously I feel uncomfortable all over just seeing others doing well, yet I still have to put myself in a good light. Lin Mengran looked at her speechlessly. With you as a comparison, why do I suddenly feel that Lin Menjai is not that annoying? Although she is better than you in some things, at least she will not shamelessly ask for credit from me, and even say that she is doing good for others. How can she say that? Exit. No wonder you have such an extreme personality. It turns out you can't get along with your sister. Li Xinlan shook her head. Why do you always blame others for your mistakes? Why don't you look for your own reasons? Forget it, I won't mess with you. I'm sorry. She looked at Fang Jingwen. I'm asking you seriously, do you really not plan to be with me? Fang Jingwen, I hope you think carefully before answering. This is the last chance I give you. To be continued.